Welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy podcast. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a newer, stronger foundation essential in creating your meaningful legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. As much as you like this podcast, I'm certain that you're going to love the book that I just released on Amazon, Fuel Your Legacy, The 9 Pillars to Build a Meaningful Legacy. I wrote this to share with you the experiences that I had while I was identifying my identity, how I began to create my meaningful legacy, and how you can create yours. You're going to find this book on Kindle, Amazon, and as always on my website, samknickerbocker.com.
Love animals but hate seeing them suffer? Us too. The Animal Alliance is on a mission to spay and neuter cats and dogs to spare us all from the heartbreak of overpopulation. Visit theanimalalliance.org to save some tears and support our cause.
Welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy show. And today we have a special guest for multiple reasons. One, I always like meeting people from different walks of life that have competing views with me, but also when we get it down to it, they end up being very similar. So that's an exciting thing. We're going to have a good conversation. But Thomas Klein, he's actually from out east, and he's got this incredible movement called the Animal Alliance of the Americas, which we're going to get into in depth here. And then moving forward, you're going to hear a lot more about this. When I first talked to him about it, I was like, I'm not really an animal person, so I don't know how that's going to play into to the future projects we're going to work on together. And he said, hey, that's fine. Actually, we're here to help people just like you make sure that we're not overpopulating animals. And I was like, hey, okay, I can get behind a message like that. But not only is he the leader of this nonprofit, but he also is a small business owner, real estate investor, and he's just very accomplished in what he's doing. He's focused on his goals. He's found his passion, which I think is one of the biggest and most important things. And also one of the reasons I wanted to have him on the podcast, because I like talking about legacy. I like finding out what questions lead somebody to where they are. And so that's what we're going to dig in with Thomas today. Thomas, go for it and tell us really like early childhood. How did you get to where you are today? How did you find the passion, and why are you so passionate about it right now?
Yeah, well, thank you for the introduction. I'll do my best to sum up, I guess, the life experience in just a few minutes. Started growing up in Long Island, New York. I guess I identify as a Yankee. Just due to city life, my parents wanted to kind of break free. They moved to a small town, Asheville, North Carolina. I guess at the time it was small, and now it's gotten quite popular. Western North Carolina and the Blue Ridge Mountains, kind of on the border of Tennessee. So just had a normal upbringing, elementary, middle, high school, went to college in, I guess, the largest city in the Carolinas, in Charlotte. Came back, started doing some landscaping work, and then just took the opportunity to travel around, see the world, and I don't know, found what my passion was. I do feel when people are lost, they have to go back to when they were a child, when they had like more innocent thoughts, what was important to them, what drove them, what could be the path to like find your purpose. Going back to when we moved to the Carolinas, my mom started connecting with people who are animal lovers. My parents have always had dogs, had cats, just enjoyed animals. Due to being in the South, again, this isn't much of a problem in the North. The South has been busing animals up to North just because there's too many. And if you go further south, again, more in the more rural parts, if animals aren't adopted quickly, the shelters are overrun, they just euthanize animals within days. My mom became friends with someone through work who was taking in animals from a local high kill shelter in Tennessee, that if it was a mama dog, puppies, no matter a purebred dog, didn't matter. They had 3 days to be adopted or they'd be put down no matter. So since I could remember, my family had been taking in puppies, mama dogs. It ended up being hundreds of animals. My entire childhood was puppies in the bathroom, puppies in the kitchen, dogs all over the place. And at the time, it was like, why do we have so many damn dogs? Why can't we have a normal house? We had just a small little single family home. Why are there so many animals here? And at the time, my parents instilled on, if we did not take these animals in, they would be dead. And I thought, I get it, but I don't want to have animals like in my room. And if they're sick, then they can't be in the kit. It was just a messy household. But as I started to kind of like grow older, mature, get some distance from the situation, it clicked that, oh, wow, if we had not done that over the years, all of these animals would have been put down, and the impact those animals had on people's lives to just be a part of the family would have never happened. And all we had to do is inconvenience ourselves for a couple of weeks to give them an opportunity to get adopted, to be bused up to New York, up to the north, to find their forever family. So as a child, I always thought when I had the ability to make something happen, I would. Grew up on free and reduced lunch most of my life. Kind of bootstrapped it going to college, still dealing with the student loan debt. But again, it'll be paid off one day. But that's where after school, doing a little business, came back to work with my father's landscaping company. I guess company, it was him and a guy, and every season it was a new guy because seasonal work, kind of keep people busy through the winter. I guess I didn't realize most small business owners don't really know how to run a business. They just operate, they go to work after dinner, they do the invoices on a piece of paper, they try to do taxes themselves, don't have a website, don't have any kind of branding. I thought, well, if you move to a new city and you need to find a company to do something, what do? You go on Google, you go on Yelp, you have to have a presence in any capacity. My father had none. So I thought, oh, this is easy. I'll just create a website, do simple things. And then he was out doing that. And while he was out in the field, I was answering the phone and doing emails. He thought, well, that was great. I can focus on work while you just work in the office. And I just had some downtime, went on a trip, came back, was going to go sell life insurance in Charleston. I was going to go live at the beach. And I thought, wait, there's an opportunity here because my father has the talent. I can just work for myself. I can wake up, walk 10 steps down to the office and be my own boss. I thought, well, I'm not going to pass this up. So within about 2.5 years, we tripled anything my father had ever done decades past, just for having a presence. I handled the office, he handled the work. We just kind of segmented how the business should run. That then parlayed into, we got into real estate. We had flipped 5 properties. We kind of do a couple a quarter or a couple a year. And then it just led into, we have some rentals, properties, businesses going well. Life was just fine, but something was wrong because I don't like landscaping very much, and real estate was cool, but it's very stressful. I thought, what do I need to do? And it was like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, this is what I wanted to do. I always needed to just have like a pathway to funding to make this happen. I need to start saving some animals. So that's how, years later, the Animal Alliance was created.
I love it. So with got tons of questions here, but let's go back to let's dig into the Animal Alliance in its current state. So, well, I guess kind of playing off the previous state. So your mom was the one who was your mom and your dad, both of them were fully on board with bringing all these animals into the house, or was it primarily your mom and your dad put up with it just like you did?
Option number 2. My mom is a massive animal lover, really adopts the kind of vegetarian culture, no harm to animals. And my dad just keep the wife happy, just went along with it. But as you see the impact happening, they were both on board, but my mom led the charge for sure.
Sure. So you mentioned like hundreds of animals. How long were the majority of the animals in your house or like in your vicinity, maybe outside, whatever? Like how long were you guys caring for these animals before they were either adopted or shipped out or anything like that?
So how it would work, we couldn't adopt a dog out until, I guess, because we mostly had mama dogs and puppies. If the dog came in at 2 weeks, we couldn't adopt the puppy out until it hit 8 weeks to get the vaccinations, everything taken care of. So it really just depended on the age of the dogs coming into our care. So if it was at 4 weeks, at least 4 weeks, and then it was until the animals got adopted, because they then partner with the local nonprofit in Asheville to facilitate adoptions or find transport. So on average, it would be at least 4 to 6 weeks. We'd have a mama dog and a handful of puppies in our house.
And were you ever being like I say you, but the host families of these animals, were they ever being compensated for accepting all those animals into their house, or were they being allowed to sell them for whatever price they could get, not just adoption, but like actually sell the puppies to whoever wanted to buy them?
So it started off with, again, just my mother and a couple friends. And then that grew to about a network of 6 foster families. And it quickly got bigger. And then they actually created a nonprofit structure around this. My mother just kind of filled the foster care role. She took a majority of the mama dogs and puppies, but someone built a nonprofit out of it within a couple of years of just doing just a couple dogs here and there. And then just once people caught on to this, I guess the nonprofit ran based on kind of like the adoption fee. So say we had a puppy, well, the adoption fee was roughly $500 to $600. And in a sense, like, yeah, you can go buy a dog, but this was supporting a nonprofit, taking in a dog that if it had not been taken in, rehabilitated and adopted out, it would have been put down. And that was just kind of their fundraising method. So in a sense, it started as a group and then became a nonprofit and was fueled by just adopting dogs out in a sense. Yeah, that helps.
Okay. So then with this, did your mom work as well? We only had one dog growing up and she didn't stick around for very long. We named her Cookie, didn't know how to train her, tied her up by a tree outside because she was jumping on people and we didn't know how to train her. And then one day she was let go and she never showed up again. So that was our dog experience. We had a few cats, other animals, chickens, horses, like other animals, but they didn't run away. So the only one that ever ran away that I know of was our dog. But like what was the training that went involved in that situation? And what was that like growing up in that environment?
Yeah. Oh, and sorry, to pick back up on the last questions, it was fully self-funded in the first definitely year and a half until the nonprofit kicked off, and they could actually provide, if an animal had to go to the vet, again, as a nonprofit, vets will do work for free. People will donate food for free, but initially bootstrapping it. And then if an animal needed care, the nonprofit would pay for it. Then going back to kind of growing up in it, it was just kind of self-taught. It was, I guess, caring for a child. I have a few brothers and sisters, and I guess for my mother, let's just keep this animal alive, whether it needed care, was sick, had parvo, whatever it may be. It was just self-taught, make sure the animal's doing all right.
At what point was it better for the animal and everybody involved for the animal to be put down rather than, I mean, other than just like overpopulation? Clearly that's its own issue. But like, why not get the animals fixed so that there's not an overpopulation or not this happening? Why not just fix the animals so that they have a great life, but then move on with life?
Oh, that's why we're here. That's what we're attempting to solve. Again, in certain places in the Northeast, they do not have a pet overpopulation problem, and this is going back decades. They implemented spay-neuter programs in Maine, Vermont, and New York. Most of these states need to transport animals from the south up to the north because they do not have enough animals. And when the animals make it there, they are cherished more because it's hard to get animals up there. You have to pay the transport fee to get an animal from the Carolinas all the way up here because people don't all want to buy a dog. They want to rescue an animal. And then kind of going back to, people, it's obvious people should do it, but there's just a pride about not taking away the ability for a male or female dog to have children. I don't know if it's there's something about the South, and I guess kind of branching into Latin America, it's just they don't believe in the spay-neuter concept, and they just don't see it as important. It's just, no, the dog's going to live, and if the dog has puppies, it is what it is, and it's just changing the culture of people see these animals as kind of not a part of the family. I don't know. I see kind of cats and dogs as an extension of a family structure. Maybe some people see farm animals as just a way to eat, to fuel ourselves, but yeah, it's more just a cultural, I guess, issue. I don't know why people don't do this. It should happen.
Like, is it up north? Are they allowed to have unspayed animals up north? Like, why would somebody not just start repopulate, like, rather than taking them from the south and transporting them up? Why not just take 2 or 3 dogs up there and start selling them up there?
Oh, it happens. It's just, I guess, with those states being heavily populated for like the landmass that it is, there just aren't enough animals. Because once you, I guess, kind of as you see, people love animals, and when they get one dog, they want 2. And you realize when animal people are animal people, they'll do anything they can to save, to rescue, to have. I mean, it's hard to find a person that just has a dog. It's a couple dogs, a couple cats. They want to have like this animal family like around them. So they just honestly don't have enough animals, and just the time it would take to make that happen. And plus the culture in the North is more, it's irresponsible to not get your animals like fixed. That in the South, you can go to a flea market and buy a puppy. In certain areas, that's just not a thing. So
Okay,
whether it's outlawed or whatever, just the cultures are different between the
so
North
even
and the
if
South.
you're taking these animals from the South and moving them north, a lot of them in that process are going to end up getting spayed. And so then it's like the only way to increase the population in the north would be to have that transport.
And most of the organizations that do the transport, they fix them before they even get to that point to keep the population under control. So most like nonprofits or animal rescues that are well-to-do, spay neuter is a top priority. Whether they keep to that principle, most animals that come into these rescues are spayed and neutered because, again, overpopulation is the biggest issue for most nonprofits, animal rescues across the world.
Okay. What's interesting is I'm more familiar, or I shouldn't even say familiar. I don't even know if that's the right word. I've heard of more often, or at least what my mind thinks of when I think of an animal rescue. I don't think of what you're describing. I think much more of animals that have been mistreated by their owners, who have been taken, like removed from their owners, almost like CPS or something went in and said, hey, you're now being cruel to this animal. We need to rescue this animal from something else. I don't think of, hey, we saw this dog on the street that had babies, so now we're going to go and like snatch up this dog and try and make it a domicile animal rather than just like, hey, let it grow out there. But I understand that the issue is then the overpopulation. Then you have dogs running around everywhere all the time, cats everywhere all the time. And that could become a nuisance to society, especially if they're not trained and they're dangerous and they're just going to bite whoever they want. And, you know. So
and that's, again, the funny thing with kind of we're an international organization, at least attempting to be. If you go further south, Mexico, Nicaragua, kind of just keep going down, the animal overpopulation problem isn't controlled. They don't have the rescues. They don't have the shelters that you'll be walking. You'll see just packs of dogs, puppies on the street. And at least they're alive. At least they're there. They're present. You don't see that as much in the States because they'll scoop them up and they'll put them down. So it's a different problem in different ways.
You think there's too many adorable pets in need of homes? Well, we agree. The Animal Alliance wants to reduce the overpopulation out of pure bleeding heart compassion. Check out the animalalliance.org to help us spay and neuter those little heartbreakers.
Do dogs in that sense, or dogs and cats, do they contribute to the animal life? I shouldn't say even the animal life, like the circle of life, like Lion King, right? Do they contribute to the circle of life? Like, we don't think of very often, we don't think of ducks being overpopulated. They're kind of feral. They walk around. They have lots of whatever. They poop wherever. It's not convenient sometimes, but we don't think of them as being overpopulated. They're like these transient things that just kind of come and go. In Utah, we have tons of seagulls. I don't know that we've ever thought of seagulls as being overpopulated. Are they annoying? A little bit, but whatever, you just kind of get past it. So what is it about like certain types of animals that we start to think, oh, there's an overpopulation? Why have we decided that certain animals need to be population controlled and others don't?
That's a great question. I guess it really just kind of depends on the person. To me, I feel the death of an innocent being, again, I more take that too, and I could be very much wrong, that a dog and a cat, kind of what we wrote as pets, should be treated differently, should be adopted more as an extension of the family. I see chickens and cows and X, Y, and Z as a means to eat, to cultivate life in a different capacity. And again, that's for me. For other people, they could see it as a dog is like a duck. I don't know. It just depends on person to person.
Well, it's just fascinating. It's something I did when I was in college in neuropsychology. One of the questions that I actually ultimately wrote my thesis on in college was, what is the best therapy animal? What is the best animal for therapy? Because if you're raised somewhere where there's not dogs or cats, or at least they're not the most prevalent animal out there, and you're more used to being around different types of animals, say in Southern Africa, there's different types of animals that are there that would be more likely you'd have more experiences with them. So it's like, are there different types of therapy animals, and would you get more comfort from an animal based on the animal's biology or do you get more comfort based on an animal that you know better? So like, are you more chilled out by having a bearded dragon on your chest and just like, this bearded dragon, it sits there, I sit here, and it calms me down? Or are you going to be more calm with a dog? Even if you don't like dogs, are you going to be more calm with a dog? Like, is a dog a better therapy animal, even if you don't like dogs? Is a cat a better therapy animal, even if you don't like cats? And the research was horses are the best therapy animals because their heart creates the most of the hormone that regulates humans' hormones. Like, it's a more dominant energy force. So horses are impractical to have in your house as therapy animals. So, but I do find that fascinating. Like, if you were raised in a different culture where they ate dogs, would we feel the same need to save all these animals? Or would we just say, hey, they're just another animal that we're going to use in our society?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's great insight, great questions. I guess as you're saying this, it kind of makes me think I was more conditioned to have more affection and care for dogs and cats, because since it really started kicking off outside of our family animals. Since I was 6, 7, these puppies started coming into my life. And from elementary school up through high school, we had taken in over 700 animals. So I was just conditioned to have affection and care for dogs and cats. That matters to me. You go to certain countries, they might not value in that capacity. You bring up horses, and so I'm a part Sicilian, well, Italian, Sicilian, but going back to visit family, certain places, well, there's a horse butcher. So you can go eat horse if you'd like, just go to Sicily. Yeah. So it just depends on, I think, more your upbringing, as you're saying it, that I was conditioned to have more care and affection for dogs. That's why I'm very driven for that. For other people, other cultures, it could be different animals due to the upbringing, I guess I'd suppose.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's a lot of research and just interesting thing. So how does the Animal Alliance of America, your nonprofit, differentiate from the one that you kind of grew up with, helping you have all those 700 animals?
So what I guess I've started to notice, and this is in different states, different countries, all animal rescues, nonprofits, whatever you want to call them, it's all kind of the same. It's all run by a group of individuals with a care and a deep care for saving animals. It starts off in that capacity, being bootstrapped. Even if they gain some prominence, they're in a constant cycle of, we need more money, we need more help, we need more X, Y, and Z. And again, this goes just across the board. And then it comes down to, they have a sole mission to do X, Y, and Z. But then someone brings in a dog that just got hit by a car. Well, we have to address this need. And then someone brings in a cat that just had like 7 kittens. Well, we have to address that. We have to do something. We can't have them be put down. That the core mission of what people are doing, it gets too frazzled and disfocused because there's constant stresses coming in every day. A normal rescue in most cities, they have animals coming through the door every single day. You can have a plan, and then an emergency comes through the door. You drop everything, you address this. What we're trying to do is, we don't have a shelter. We never will. We're kind of a virtual entity that's trying to raise awareness in the United States to funnel, I guess, the US dollar to other places where it can be more impactful. Because in a sense, like, not having a rescue, not seeing the harm and just abuse of animals, you can stay more focused. I have a home office. I can be here and make decisions on what I believe is the most important for the care of animals to stop this problem. If I was in a rescue with all these animals, and it's to work in this space, it's hard. It's very hard. You see very graphic things. It takes a toll on people. Whether you're a police officer, a firefighter, you see very hard things. I think just as humans, it's hard to just deal with that on a day-to-day basis without having to misalign what your core mission of things were. So what we're trying to do is just kind of let the professionals do what they're doing, and we're just trying to assist the people doing the hard work. But yeah, no, it's a problem everywhere.
So in this, how have you seen or interviewed, talked to people? How does it relate to the same conversation with actual humans? Like, again, for me, animals and humans are not on the same level. That's me personally. I understand that some people feel that way. I have somebody who I think you should connect with, which is funny, but they're creating a whole company just for animal urns. So it'd be an interesting connection.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know how that would play in, but if there's people who have their pets that are passing away, and you can say, look, buy this, and a portion of the purchase will go to supporting healthier animals, and you get an urn for your other animal that either passed away, hasn't passed away yet. I don't know. When my sister passed away, we had an urn for her because she wanted to be cremated. And then a few of the siblings, they decided to take some of the ashes and put them into jewelry, so they can always be with. I don't know. For me, it's weird. Like I disassociate a lot from death. I don't know why, but it's never been something that like I feel like I needed to hang on to. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. But I think that would be an interesting connection for you as far as like, what if you could have multiple facets of the same nonprofit or things, partnerships. So, man, I forgot. Now I got distracted on what I was saying. I was going to ask you something, but then I forgot.
Well, just like, I guess if it was something around the feedback of it is.
Oh, the relationship between humans and animals. That's what I'm curious about. Because you have first responders in both, I'm assuming, that probably deal with similar traumas, having to deal with those things.
No, we're learning on the fly. Again, like even in this like new concept, even let's go back to our legal name. When we started this, it was Animal Alliance of the Americas. Our focus was we're a United States nonprofit that will help Latin American countries, so the Americas. And then we realized, wait a minute, that name's too hard to say. Animal Alliance of the Americas, let's cut it, the Animal Alliance. And then we thought, wait a minute, we're still thinking too small. This needs to be in every community in the world. Wait, this is an international organization, not just the Americas. So things keep pivoting and changing. And it's just finding what that is. Because when someone's an animal person, right? Oh, they're an animal person. They'll go down with the ship defending the rights for dogs and cats, whatever it may be. But then there's also a lot of people, again, whether different communities, cultures, well, a dog on the street is just like a nuisance, just like a bug. It's like, I'm not going to do anything for that. Well, then now the pitch could be, all right, awesome. I'm trying to have less animals populate the earth, so you don't even have to worry about this. Because something has to be done to where, thousands of animals are put down every single day just because there's too many. There aren't enough resources. So let's fix it. For the people who don't like animals and the people that do, we're all just trying to value the life of creatures, however that may be. So we're learning on the fly in a sense, because we had a set goal and it's already pivoted 5 different times, and who knows where it's going to go. But the main focus is to stop overpopulation of cats and dogs.
Well, so let me ask you that. Is the main focus to stop the overpopulation, or is the main focus to increase the care of the increasing population? Like when you say the main focus is to stop the overpopulation, I feel like a fairly direct, like this is where you get into the use the word eugenics, which I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that only applies to humans or not, but I don't feel like it should. It's a word of like controlling population. So that's where you get into like, okay, there's people who are concerned about overpopulation of lots of creatures, we'll call them, humans involved as well. So you get into these blurring of lines of like, okay, well, the simple solution would be to sterilize large populations of animals. That would be the simple solution, and that would cut back in a situation like, so I grew up in Idaho, and they would often, you have to go out and kill gophers, or you'd have to go coyote hunting, not because you need to kill a coyote like for you, but like if there's too many coyotes, you got to kill them, right? They have the same issue where you have to go kill wolves. You have to go kill, in Texas, they have boars, wild pigs that just like run around and destroy stuff. And so they're like, hey, it's kind of open season. We need you to go kill as many of these things as you can, because we need to control the population. So population control is something that happens literally in every area of life. We pretend it doesn't happen with humans, but it does, in my opinion. So it's like, these are situations that are happening. So that's why I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the answer, the real answer to these objectives, and how is the Animal Alliance like really promoting a real clear goal of what the answer is? Is it just supporting the animals that are there, or is it the end goal? Hey, let's stop more animals from being born.
No, I guess Again, good question. I believe, and I get great timing for the podcast. My answer now, it will be a lot more concrete than it would have been 3 months ago, 6 months ago,
Sure.
without a doubt a year ago when this was created, August of last year. Is, again, same way when you deal with living beings and you see the harm and the mistreatment of these things, you have an idea in mind, but when you see the blood, you see that everything changes. Now I can confidently say the goal of the Animal Alliance is to reduce the amount of cats and dogs that are being born into this world, until the amount of animals being put down every single day ceases to exist. I truly do believe if enough people were on board, we could make community animal rescues that the government has to fund, that put down cats and dogs every single day, that can be brought down to zero. Due to overpopulation, if a dog is aggressive or X, Y, and Z, that's a different situation. Specifically for animals where there are too many and there are enough resources to pay for them, that can be done if there are not enough animals, and the people will have to cherish them more because it's a limited resource.
So is the overpopulation, I'm trying to identify where's the bottleneck? Is the bottleneck that too many are being born? Is the bottleneck that too many are being born in the wrong geolocation and it's too much time and effort and resources to transport them? What's the actual bottleneck? Because people are putting animals down, but that could be because of overpopulation, or it could just be because they don't value the life of an animal. So what is the cause? And I don't know this either. In human life, we have abortion. I've never heard of an animal abortion clinic, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So at what point is it no, I don't want to even do that? So I'm trying to understand where's this bottleneck. And my most real thing in my life is thinking of it from a human perspective. And although I don't see animals as part of my family, I know a lot of people do. And so I feel like for many people, that is an equivalency of a conversation. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm way off, but
no. There's definitely valid points to assert in that capacity. And the more, I guess, the Animal Alliance is known, and the more vocal that I and our organization becomes, we might say some interesting things in the near future. But we will say, even in that capacity, for Planned Parenthood to be where they're at least the name, at least the person who they knew what they wanted to accomplish. Again, in their minds, that was very important to them, and they amassed millions of people to think the same thing, to give them money to volunteer to do X, Y, and Z. With this, again, we're still learning what it is. I currently am based in Baltimore, Maryland. Here, I would say it's cultural. Going to these kind of health clinics for most communities to get vaccinated and sign up for a spay neuter if they would like, just to have animals, I guess, taken care of for these free clinics. I was floored with if you had 100 people lined up and you go one by one, would you like free spay neuter? The 98 people would say no. That will never happen to my dog. It's not it's a cultural thing that they do not believe spay neuter is important. They will not cut the balls off of their mouth, whatever it may be. But if I go to Latin America, again, some people might have that pride around not taking away the whatever of an animal. It's financial. So we noticed when this started in Nicaragua, it was purely about money. That to work a 2 days wage to pay for the procedure of their dog or cat just wasn't worth it. Why would they work 2 days to get a procedure? So the dog, it was just about money. So it started with, well, we'll just pay for a couple. We paid for a family that had 4 animals, got it done. Well, then they told their neighbor, and we got 7 more animals done. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is an organization. So it started with, that's the financial means. When we were in Mexico, it's financial. So it really just depends on location. But I guess it can be solved. Again, that's why the focus now is Latin America. It's about money. If it was paid for, oh no, they'd love to do it because it's less food, less care for the animals. It makes more financial sense to not have that many animals around.
Sure. And for them, it's a little bit of an educational culture of look, if you keep letting the animals reproduce, that's going to increase the cost on the other side, where you could work 2 days and make sure that you don't have these increasing costs, or you can not work the 2 days because it's not worth your time. And then you have these increasing costs on the back end, but now you can't say no because they're already there, rather than no, I can say no. I'm saying no right now. My dogs will not have any more dogs, or my cats will not have any more cats. But okay. So the focus is financial at this stage because that is the primary area where you were focusing on, and that demographic could also apply to the South, although you don't think they would go with it just because
That no, and you bring a good point. This and I've gotten this question when this really got going, and we realized, wow, it's hard to start a nonprofit to have. I mean, you're pitching people to give up their money when they're like, well, why give it to a new organization? We don't know where the money goes. I'll give it to the ASPCA. I'll give it to a more well-known organization. I agree. You could do that, but also maybe change it up. That we learned pretty quickly the amount of time and resources it would take to change someone's mind here, to take someone who is very adamant, I am never going to spay and neuter my animal, to change their mind to being even open to it. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the money. I mean, it's sure as hell not worth my time. But again, I have a fascination. I have family in Latin America. I enjoy being there. I would like to spend most of my year like traveling throughout Central and South America. But we also realized, well, the barrier to entry was about money. Again, being able to make a U.S. salary, it goes much, much further in these places to where the cost of a spay neuter here, if you just have an animal, it could be $500 to $600. Even if it's low cost, it's still a couple $100. We've got it down to, on average, $20 to $30 per animal to get the procedure in Latin America. Well, it's just about value on your money. Now, yes, it's not in your community, but if you go travel these places, I mean, the amount of animals on the streets, it's unbelievable. So that is just, it's easier to get done because it's just about the money.
So what are you doing to bring the globalization nature of it into a more presence of mind, right? So for instance, we hear wars in America. We hear of all these wars. I live in Arizona and I hear, oh, there's so much immigration and all these people are coming over the border and there's these crazies. And maybe there are. I'm not saying there are or they're not. I mean, on TV, I see people coming over. But in my community, I don't see an overabundance of people coming across the border. Maybe it's because of my community. I don't see an overabundance of fentanyl or drugs or whatever being used. I don't see an the only thing that I've like, okay, it's impacting me on this level. And the only area is that in Arizona, it's not by law required to carry car insurance. And so there's a lot of uninsured drivers. And when those accidents happen, the people who are insured, their insurance ends up having to pay for the uninsured motorist. And so then my insurance costs on my car insurance are higher than in another state. So that's like the one area I'm like, okay, it's impacting me. How much is it impacting me? I don't know. I do know probably maybe $120 a month is roughly what that impacts me. But other than that, it's like, it doesn't make my life more inconvenient. Our streets are still clean. Even when I go downtown Phoenix, it doesn't seem disruptive. Like, it's not like there's a disruptive amount of people out on the street homeless. It's probably normal for any big city, which is like, it's unfortunate. And I donate food and I can do what I can. But even though I live in a city that the nation would say, oh, it's being overrun, I don't experience it and I live here. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to understand is like, how are you helping the people who do fund your these processes? How do we bring them to closer to the process so they feel like they're actually accomplishing something by donating?
No, that's what I guess I'm trying to figure out. How this was really created was, we thought this would be a much simpler process. We thought, like, become a legitimate 501c3, help animals. Once people know you're helping animals, it's a wrap. Fast forward 12 months. If it was not for like the business contributing personally and myself, this wouldn't exist. Getting people to give when it doesn't affect them in the absolute immediate, especially not overseas, have fun getting money. So that's where I don't know. I think part 2 of this conversation will be, maybe don't have a nonprofit. Again, thought it'd be much different. And that is actually a concept of, maybe we should just become a charitable giving organization, just do business in whatever capacity that just gives back to this mission. Because I don't know, because these successful animal rescuers, no, they do very well for themselves. It's all public information. You can find out. But for a new nonprofit, it's incredibly hard to get people to just care if it doesn't directly affect them on the day-to-day. So that is something we're trying to figure out. But as we've evolved, is not being set on exactly what we're trying to accomplish, kind of being more milquetoast, playing to the field of, oh yeah, we want to help this, and that it hasn't worked. So I guess it's being very focused is saying, I'm specifically trying to reduce the amount of animals being born, and that will land with certain people who radically believe in that. And people who don't, well, give me money. So I don't know.
Right. Well, and this is like something that happens in other areas. So I was at a conference recently, and I think it's called Life Water. Anyways, I forget the name of the. I don't have it with me right now. But anyways, he goes and builds wells all over the world, right? And if you can get on a subscription where it's a subscription model, you can donate to this charity basically on a subscription model. You can donate like $10 a month or $40 a month or $50 a month, or you can buy an entire well if you want for $10,000 a month. And then not only when you do that, you get a weekly report of, I guess weekly or monthly report of where that well, where did your money get directed to? There's a report of how many people have gotten clean, like how many people did you get clean water to with your donation or with your accumulative donations? How many people are now being served? How many people, and that's a growing number because every day, you have more people use that clean water. So there's this whole process. They also laid out, like they took and said, hey, this is all of the different tools, motorcycles, cars, everything that is required for us to get a well drilled out in the middle of wherever we're drilling it. So if you go buy a well in China, then you're going to have different resources than if you're in Africa. If you want to build a water salinization plant in Detroit, then that's going to be something different than somewhere else, right? So they built this out so that when you're donating, you're getting like a full report and you feel closer to the process. You feel like you were actually part of the process. You get to see the faces of the people whose lives were changed. You get to see that. You get to hear their story. And so I'm just wondering how much of that are you able to do, especially in these third world countries or the Latin American countries, where you're able to say, look, these are the dogs that we served. This is the picture of them. This is after the process. This was maybe not during the process. I don't want to see that, but before, after. This is the family who's so grateful that now they have this, and maybe even to the point of showing the financial incentive, the financial benefit. Like, yeah, you helped this one family not have an extra 12 dogs, because on average, every dog who's not spayed and neutered has X amount of children, X amount of dogs over a 20-year period. Well, by virtue of us getting this one procedure done that costs $20 or $30, whatever, we've now eliminated X amount of future costs from this family's life. And if they were to invest that at whatever, now we've just added this much money to this family's future because of the $20 you donated here. We just added X amount to their future. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming, like, what are ways to actually make this real so that somebody feels like they're actually adding real value, not just to the animals, but to somebody else. Like, if I know that me helping an animal as a non-animal person, if I know that me neutering an animal is going to add an extra $50 to somebody's monthly bill or pocket, I probably neuter that animal tomorrow. I'll pay the $50 so that you save $50 every month for the rest of your life. Like, that's a good deal for me. Like, that's a win. That's a financial win.
Can't handle the sight of homeless pets? The Animal Alliance is working to spay and neuter them so that fewer are born into a life of pity. Visit theanimalalliance.org to join our mission of compassionate reduction.
I guess part one of this, I would say, it sounds like you need to start fundraising for us. The concept of, again, really in my mind, start a nonprofit. It helps animals. The rest is taken care of. The exact opposite has been the case. And it's just in the business world, we've been conditioned to, if you need something, right? If you're in the trade space, you need something done, people reach out to you because they want something accomplished. They want a service, something of value. They're willing to pay money for it. People come to you. When you flip it, a nonprofit is the exact opposite. You're having to do the outreach to get people to get money that they had to work for to do X, Y, and Z. So around that, in the last, we'll call it 6 months, whether it was Nicaragua, spending months in Mexico, going to El Salvador next month, I've been compiling photos of animals we've sponsored. We've actually paid for the procedures. In Nicaragua, we're at over 90 animals. In Mexico, we're at over 40 of things we've actually done. We have all the photos. I have hours of video content, all these things, but if no one sees it, did it happen? I know it happens. I had the experience seeing it, but if no one else knows it's happening, they don't have, like, I can't share the story. It doesn't matter. What we've done as of late is we need people to see this. Prior to this, was on Instagram, was on Facebook. I didn't believe in kind of the social space of what the world is. And then you quickly are humbled to, wow, it's almost impossible to run a nonprofit if you don't exist online and you don't believe in the concept of social media. So we've actually pivoted to where we now have ambassadors in Mexico, in Nicaragua, in El Salvador that are sharing the message or stories of what we've done. Again, information that has already been compiled. We even launched our first fundraiser, like we've done yet. It's just been self-funded up to this point, of helping a puppy in El Salvador that's been hit by a car. Is that our core mission of strictly funding spay neuter? No, we would like to build to that. But for this rescue that has the structure, helping them with this specific thing buys us credibility that no, we're just trying to help out, because if we can help you with this, well, then you can help more animals. And once you can get your head above water, not struggle on a day-to-day basis, well, now we can start, let's spay neuter animals on the street. Let's ramp that up once you're not struggling. So now we're trying to share the story of this puppy, Gala, that was hit by a car and is being rehabilitated, I guess, in real time. You can go Instagram, TikTok, and see this process, because we're trying to show, no, the money, the funders are actually goes specifically to something, that the concept of the world just going to find us and give us money doesn't work. No, you're right. We have to share a specific story that money donated today goes to this specific, like, puppy.
Right.
We're going to see if it works. Next month, another, like, organization I'm partnered with in Mexico, they were just flooded by a major storm. Well, we gotta help them out. So it is showing people where the money goes, in a sense. And no, like, people need help all over the place.
Yeah. No, I think that'll be a interesting transition in your business I say business, you're a nonprofit, it's a business. As it transitions into more of that showing and what that looks like. Because honestly, guys, even if you go to the website, like I pulled up the website and I was like, wow, this is not only just a well-made website, it looks great. The pictures are crisp, which getting good pictures is a big, and I know it seems like a simple thing. Getting good pictures is not always the simplest thing, especially of animals that could be moving or could not be moving. So, but the website, super well put together. Go look at that. That's the animalalliance.org. And you can read through a lot of the stuff. You can see the pictures, not just the pictures of the animals, but of, I'm assuming, owners or at least friends of these animals. And just consider, like, what does that look like? And what could this build into? And if you have ideas of what could help the process, right? Now, once you get a better understanding of what the goal is to accomplish, how do we make this happen faster, smoother, to people who do want it? If somebody called in and said, hey, I'm that person who would like this to happen to my animal, like, what is the support system for somebody who maybe doesn't have the money to donate right now, but they would love to have the money to donate, but they just are, like, raising their hand saying, I don't want I would love for my animal to be spayed and neutered. Who are you the person to call, or are you saying, are there better places to call for that if they don't have the money, but they still want to participate in your vision of not overpopulating by getting that taken care of?
Oh, no. So we would fill the role of connecting people to provide financial support to legitimate organizations abroad. That is our concept at this moment. For people that do want to get their animals spayed and neutered, again, it is very important for the health of animals that are not born yet, the health of the animal in the present moment, whatever it may be. If you just type in spay neuter services in your area, there is funded programs, a lot of it's offered. People need to seek it out.
Okay.
And it's available. It's just this kind of this hidden thing that's just, it's present in all of these rescues. But again, when the animal that got hit by the car gets brought in, everything is dropped. You focus on the immediate need. So I would just Google free spay neuter, low cost spay neuter services in your area, and multiple things will come up that will help fund these.
Let's not tell my wife about that, 'cause she might be calling in for me. Um, she's been trying to get me to do that for a while. I'm like, I don't know.
Well.
Animals one thing, and animals one thing. Um, so let's go back. I have a few questions here about what you learned about your online marketing for your dad's company, and how is that transitioning, or that same skill set and knowledge being used then for this new mission of yours?
Yeah, so this is where I think, again, as we've evolved in life, we need to do the things that would work for us. So if you, again, as Asheville started to grow and people need landscaping services, what's the number one thing you would do? If your neighbor didn't have contractor they would recommend, and they're like, they're great, they're available next week, you would go to Google, at least at this time, you'd go on Google, landscapers near me, landscaping near me. If you're not present, you're not getting a call.
Right.
At the time we did this, there was no presence. When we first got the website loaded, we were on the middle of the 5th page because it takes time to get the SEO working, indexing. So we just made it to where if someone new was coming to town, or someone that was there, they just needed someone to do anything. Well, how would they do it? Well, they'd go to Google. They'd search it. At the time, you'd go on Facebook. Are people saying nice things about it? We have a very strong review and testimonial network because people want to see, okay, you're a stranger to me. Well, if 90 other people say, wow, like fantastic company, great experience, it validates, oh, like they must be legitimate. So it's just meeting people where they're at. If moving to Baltimore, we needed a handyman near me. You look at reviews. It was very simple. At least in that concept, Google saved everything. Have a nice website, rank high on Google. Done.
Right.
The nonprofit, way different concepts. Again, we're building out other ways for most tradespeople. They're focused on the work. They don't care about like how the business comes. Again, if you do good work, you'll get recommended, but you could be taken to the next level if you answer the phone, you answer an email, and you're even moderately professional. At least in the South, it's a massive problem that if you even get anyone to try to do work, have fun getting them to actually show up. So that is just meet the people where they're at. How do people do things? Why do we go to Starbucks? Because they're on every corner. It's not good coffee, but you go because it's right there. So
you just got to get more there. Did you, when you were working with your dad's company, did you ever do paid advertising, or was it all just SEO and just working the system to get to that point? Or do you ever do paid advertising so so your name is showing up next to people who are most likely, or maybe they've already donated to another firm? Another idea as well, this is something that I feel like Facebook came out and did this a while back, but it just didn't. I don't know if it didn't, or I don't see it happen as often, where you donate your birthday or you donate something to a cause, to a nonprofit. Have you explored that as far as how to get more reach to more people through social networks?
So, and glad you asked. So that's one of the funny things there are a lot of products and offerings available to a nonprofit at free or low cost. And people will, again, when I thought Google is going to give me a $10,000 grant a month to spend on PPC advertising, again, that's what got our attention in the business in 2015, 16, 17. I thought with $10,000, I'm going to do so much. We got approved for it the end of April. We still have not had those ads go live. Because once we step into that nonprofit space and Google is in essence donating this money to us, rules for the website, rules for we're months in and we still have not gotten approved. I've hired like outside help, like the Upwork, please fix this. They guarantee they'll fix it at some point because they have a clear path to Google. It's still not fixed. So we're just trying to get these resources available. Again, the Facebook, it's available. We've looked into trying to just get it to go live. It's incredibly difficult. These things are available, but as a new organization, I'm not sure why, just legitimizing we're an actual 501c3 organization, new, just the barrier to entry to not be looked at as a scam, as just this organization that's just funneling money it's a massive hurdle. Because again, why give to me? Give to best friends, give to anyone else. And even in the online space, it's been a much bigger hurdle than we thought. But we're just going to keep at it because again, you have to meet the people where they're at. I would love to be in a space where you see the Animal Alliance when you type in, I want to help animal rescues. I want to help spay and neuter. Well, we'll show up soon enough. Might take another month, too, but it's
but it's on its way. So no, that's really good to know, and just to think about, like, what is from what you already knew, how are you applying it? Because they say that sometimes you see these people who become millionaires overnight. And I'm not saying that's your objective, but like a level of success of like something just blew up, right? And they think, oh, it just came out of nowhere. But a lot of times stuff doesn't come out of nowhere. New stuff might come out of nowhere, but the people behind the new stuff, they've been working on their crafts for a really long time. And so when you are offering or donating to a cause, it's like, well, what's the bench behind this person? Yeah, maybe the thing that they're doing right now is new, but does the person behind it actually have the acumen to make what they say come true? Like, do they have a list of things that they've already done that they've proven, yes, it comes true? And so that's why I asked that, like, with the skills you already have, how are you using those skills here? From college, what did you study in college and how's that applied, or how is that helping you with what you are doing now?
College had a very nice experience. With regard to how it helped in the business world, I went to school for business management, got a degree in it. Truthfully, I don't know if I can say it helps much. Now with the information up to date, with the internet, with all of this, I probably wouldn't recommend someone go to school for business, just operate in the real world. But it did allow me to be outgoing, to connect with people, to join groups and social settings. And some of my best friends I met in college. Outside of that, again, I was a very quiet individual, kept to myself, had a handful of friends, and that was it. When you go to college, you don't know anyone. We're door knocking, saying hello. You build up this network, you experience life. That is what I brought into when I came back into Asheville. I might have, from mid 2015 to year end 2017, I might have gone to every networking event I possibly could have. If I wouldn't have gone to school, there's not a chance I would have gone into a social setting to talk business with strangers. But again, when you're in a dorm, you're living around people, like you enjoy the social scene. You can do whatever. That was the first time to like be an adult, right? When you're living under your parents' house, it's very limited on what you can do, and you can do whatever you want. That freedom is nice. So for the degree, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, but I grew as a person in my maturity, my like freedom, just all of it. I became a better person that allowed me to then network, talk to people. Because at the end of the day, it just comes down to you have to have some talent. You have to be willing to talk to people and portray the message of what you're trying to sell or do. Outside of that, it's just not going to work.
What wasn't for it, but and I like that you're clarifying. Wasn't great inside of business. Like, you could go learn business in the real world, maybe better and faster and more applicable to what your business that you want to start is, right? Learning general business practices, even from your perspective, where you came out, you really mastered, and you really helped your dad's business grow, but now you step into this other form of business, nonprofit, which is a completely different animal, and there's still like a ton that you have to learn. That even if you had taken all the classes in college, there's still the actual practice and the application is so much different than the book learning. And so that's a good distinction there. One thing that as far as questions that I took out of this podcast, and I have to find it. When I was a kid. So like, think about that. Not necessarily you, Thomas, but for those listening, when was the last time you asked yourself, like, what did you want to do when you were a kid? What were your thoughts when you were a kid? What did you do for fun when you were a kid? Did you play cops and robbers? Did you run around? Did you play tag? Like, what did you do when you were a kid? And when was the last time you did that? Like, when was the last time you did something that you did when you were a kid and like allowed yourself to go back and be childish, allowed yourself to go back and be playful, and allowed yourself to go back and be in that creative space of like, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do. I want to move how I want to move. I want to fulfill the world that I want to fulfill. And so I love that question. You're like, for me to think, when I was a kid, I did this. Finish the statement. When I was a kid, I loved this. When I was a kid, this was my favorite color. Maybe your favorite color is still the same. I know my favorite color has changed like 4 times. I used to love yellow, and then I went from loving yellow, then I went to loving red. Now I love green. Maybe I'll love another color at some point. I've never liked blue, but like that
with the blue shirt on and all. But
I know. Well, this is a gift. I like gifts. Yeah. I like good gifts.
Good to know. Yeah, it would. I guess the thing that came to mind is my dog Spice. Growing up, I just loved being with her, walking her, being with her, just seeing and this, again, I don't have children at the moment. I'm sure parents see this joy, seeing the joy of something you care for, experience life is just a very enjoyable thing. And then outside of that, we had upwards of 24 animals in our 3-bedroom, 2-bath house growing up. There was just a lot of animal related duties to do to take care of things. And again, at the time, didn't value it as much as I do thought, like moving forward. That, and then I watch a lot of HGTV. I always wanted to own 20 homes, be a real estate agent, X, Y, and Z. And then just kind of live life. I don't know, travel around. It was always important that in the winters we would take trips. We were very fortunate. We'd always go to the beach. We'd take trips to Mexico, the Bahamas, just experience different things. So yeah, I'm trying my best to do those things now.
Yeah. And I also, just something else that you said, there's like, when you were a kid thinking about that, another side of that question maybe is, as a parent, think about, because you said you didn't really appreciate a lot of it when you were a child. I know there's stuff in my childhood that I didn't appreciate as a child, that now as a parent, I'm like, man, I'm so grateful for those experiences. Sometimes though, when I'm parenting my children and they are being more playful or more whatever than I would want them to be in that moment, I think I can do a better job at remembering, hey, when I was a kid, I was probably just like them. You know, when I was a kid, it was just as hard for me to focus. When I was a kid, to build more compassion into my life, thinking of that same question from a parent's perspective. Hey, when I'm going to instruct or parent or discipline, when I was a kid, what would have been helpful for me, rather than just this is what's doing it, because that was a leadership experience that I had growing up. But like, hey, when I was a kid, what did I really want? What was I needing? And then try and offer that to my children in a way that I didn't have it, while still maintaining boundaries. So anyways, those are great questions. I really appreciate that. Again, if you guys didn't already, go look it up, theanimalalliance.org. The link will be in the show notes here. Just check out his website. If you feel so inclined, read through some of the material there and then donate. There's a big, beautiful lime-ish, baby lime. I don't know what to call that. I like the color though. It's like
it lands.
It's a very soothing color. Button. Just click on it, and then see where your heart takes you. But if you want to help families, if you want to help people, then I think this is a worthy endeavor. And that's one of the things that I am excited about our future partnership is, you know, how can we help people better understand the situation? How can we help them see the benefit of it? And I'm all about for less animals, not because the truth is I don't hate animals. The truth is, when I was very young, I got bit on the face by a dog. And so they're not my favorite animals because I don't like getting bit and I have childhood trauma. So
no, that's legitimate.
That's the truth. I don't hate animals. I would never want pain or suffering to come to an animal. And I think if we can help more people protect their animals from future pain and suffering, or eliminate the future pain and suffering of animals that aren't here yet, then that's a win for everybody in society. And then maybe this builds something where we're able to help you get your own animal, if you want one, transported to your house, drop off like a stork with a big red bow. King Charles Spaniel, if you rescue one of those, neutered would be good. I don't need any extra ones, but
no, like I said, it's just whether it's this endeavor, business, you have a plan, life happens, things course correct. So we'll see where it ends up. But yeah, no, it's been a process.
Fantastic. Well, fun. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we sign off here today?
No, I wanted to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm very much a podcast newbie. I would like to seek more opportunities like that. So for you to give me a platform in any capacity, with me having no pitch deck, kind of nothing to offer you outside of just words that come out of my mouth, and whether it's jumbled or whether I don't know what I'm saying, I just appreciate the opportunity that you've given me. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. You did a great job, if there was a job to be done, but I just love interviewing people and having fascinating conversations. And this certainly was one for me. And I think that other people are going to really like it as well. And then that's the cool part, is we get to go and actually make a difference for both people and their animals, or animals and their people. I don't know which way you want to say it, but
whichever one works for the person listening. But
awesome.
Yeah, no, just check us out and see what people think.
Okay. Hey, we'll catch you guys next time on the Fuel Your Legacy show.
Ever wish there was fewer stray pets to break your little heart? So do we. At the Animal Alliance, we're dedicated to spaying and neutering to reduce pet overpopulation. Visit theanimalalliance.org and save yourself from a broken heart.
Thanks for joining us. If what you heard today resonates with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me, and if you do give me a shout out, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Thanks to all of those who've left a review. It helps spread the message of what it takes to build a legacy that lasts. And we'll catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy.